Did physicists continue pursuing the great and noble goal of discovering the true constitution of the universe? Or did they succumb to the idea that science cannot discover the truth about the physical world and therefore must only offer mathematical descriptions of appearances? Well, many 20th century physicists were forthright in stating their answer. Now, James Jeans added his voice to the modern consensus when he wrote, quote, "Our studies of physics can never put us into contact with reality, and its meaning and nature must be forever hidden from us," unquote.
So you got that? Our observations can never put us in touch with reality, right? All we can know is what we see. You ever heard that anywhere? Immanuel Kant, maybe? Huh? Perceptions, creation of reality through the categories. Yeah. Now, what observation, an observation of reality, I suppose, could they have ever made that they came to the conclusion that their observations were not valid? How do you do that? What logical reason could ever be brought about to prove that logic no longer applies? You starting to see the problem in physics here? Now this is philosophy corrupting physics. To the extent that we don't have any answers in physics, it is because we have taken philosophical answers first, and then we go into the laboratory with the philosophical answers in our pocket and start doing experiments. And that determines the outcome of the experiments. Even if the experiment shows us X, we are going to end up concluding Y, because we've got our philosophical conclusions in our pocket when we walk into the laboratory.
Keith Devlin, a senior researcher at Stanford University, gave the modern answer when he wrote, quote, "Contrary to what many people believe, science is not about determining the truth. Strictly speaking, there is no such thing as truth in science."
Science is not about determining the truth. There is no such thing as truth in science. Did he just give us a statement of the truth? Is he trying to tell us something true about the real reality? And the true thing about the real reality is that we can't know real reality and there's no such thing as truth. That's crazy. Now, in order to believe that, you have to buy into one of these ideas like quantum logic. Or you have to buy into the idea that the subatomic world doesn't obey the laws of reality, you know. Okay. I mean, I was so astonished when I first started hearing that there's a problem in physics, that I can understand where people are coming from when they still think physics is totally legit. So, but it doesn't take much of this evidence to convince me.
Now, such skepticism is shocking in light of the triumphs of the last 4 centuries. Quantum theory, for example, has apparently penetrated even to the nature of atoms and their constituent particles. So one might reasonably ask, doesn't such progress show that we can understand the physical world, even the microscopic quantum world? Well, Niels Bohr, one of the founders of quantum theory and its leading interpreter, gave the modern answer when he wrote, quote, "There is no quantum world. There is only an abstract quantum description," unquote. Now, let's examine this. If there is no quantum world, then what does quantum physics describe? Most physicists regard the question as useless. The reality underlying the mathematical formalism is held to be unintelligible. Quantum theory rejects Aristotle's law of identity, which names what was once regarded as a self-evident truth. To be is to be something, an entity possessing a definite nature. According to the standard interpretation of the theory, the basic entities composing matter exist in an unreal state without specific properties. As Bohr put it, quote, atomic physics deprives of all meaning the well-defined attributes that classical physics would ascribe to the object, unquote. The elementary constituents of matter have no identity. They are not something and not nothing until we measure or observe them, at which time the observed property instantly springs into existence as something definite. In the words of physicist John Archibald Wheeler, quote, no elementary phenomenon is a real phenomenon until it is an observed phenomenon, unquote.
No elementary phenomenon is real until it has been observed. Wow, where did he get the evidence for that? Did he observe some phenomenon in an unreal state, and then he observed them becoming real? I mean, it's not only would it be difficult to get that evidence, it's not possible to get that evidence. That's like coming up with evidence to show that evidence doesn't prove anything. That's insane. So I hope you're starting to see the problem with the crisis in physics and its cause. Now, the quotes that we've gone through here, all of this is within the first 9 minutes of the speech. If you want to know the details of it, you should go buy it. It is excellent. It's worth having, and you should listen to it dozens of times, and then research it on your own. You know, don't trust me, and for God's sakes, don't trust Brian Greene.
The implications of these ideas were dramatically illustrated by Erwin Schrödinger, a physicist who criticized quantum theory after making major contributions to it. In 1935, Schrödinger described his famous thought experiment involving a cat in a precarious situation. Quote, this is Schrödinger's description of his thought experiment. A cat is pinned up in a steel chamber along with the following diabolical device. In a Geiger counter, there is a teeny bit of radioactive substance, so small that perhaps in the course of 1 hour, 1 atom decays, but also with equal probability, perhaps none. If it happens, the counter tube discharges and through a relay releases a hammer which shatters a small flask of hydrocyanic acid. If one has left this entire system to itself for an hour, one would say that the cat lives if meanwhile no atom has decayed. The first atomic decay would have poisoned it. Okay, so you all get the setup. Now, how does quantum theory describe this physical system? In the theory, there is no cause for radioactive decay. The decay happens purely by chance and is described by a probability function. After the box has been closed for an hour, the theory describes the system as an equal mixture of two states, one in which the cat is dead and one in which the cat is alive. Physicists claim that such a description does not reflect our ignorance of the actual state of the system. It is the actual state. Quantum theory says that the cat is in a state of limbo between life and death. It is both and neither at the same time. As physicist John Gribben puts it, quote, until we look inside the box, there is a radioactive sample that has both decayed and not decayed. A glass vessel of poison that is neither broken nor unbroken. And a cat that is both dead and alive, neither alive nor dead. Unquote.
I think I can rest my case at this point. Physics has got some really, really, really strange philosophical views that are not unlikely, but impossible. Okay? So, I'm not against the part of physics that works. I'm against the part of physics that it is completely excluded by the nature of reality. So, I know that this still isn't going to convince some people. Like Peikoff said, some people could read an entire encyclopedia and they still wouldn't believe anything. You know, so this video isn't to convince everybody. This video is to give a little hint, mostly to objectivists, that rationality has been disposed of by modern physics.